Good afternoon. This is the 5FM Radio Main News. The headlines. Hichilema reaffirms commitment to tackle barriers affecting school-going children beyond free education policy. Zambia Police Service raises concern over attack on officer. And Tunisian MP jailed for 8 months over post-mocking president. This bulletin is streaming live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, and also streaming live on our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie Banda. President Hakainde Hichilema has assured the nation of the government's commitment to addressing the economic and social barriers affecting school-going children beyond the free education policy. The head of state said this today, 20th February 2026, delivering his annual address on the progress made in the application of national values and principles. President Hichilema stated that the government is aware of the economic and social challenges impacting the implementation of the free education policy. The head of state said the government has prepared a range of significant interventions aimed at addressing these social and economic challenges. He has further urged members of parliament to engage families in their constituencies.
Madam Speaker, it is gratifying that these interventions are contributing to improved school attendance. These are the outcomes now. Improved school attendance, retention, and learning outcomes among vulnerable learners, particularly those in rural areas and indeed peri-urban underserved communities. Very important, Madam Speaker. In 2025, we recorded, Madam Speaker, an impressive pass rate in public schools of over 70%, the first time in the history of our country, at a grade 12 level.
The Zambia Police Service has noted with concern an incident that occurred on 18th February 2026 in Ndola, where a police officer was allegedly assaulted by a motorist while carrying out routine traffic management duties. Police Public Relations Officer Godfrey Chilavi says the service strongly condemns the unlawful act. Mr. Chilavi says police officers derive their authority from the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia, which under Article 193.2 establishes the Zambia Police Service and mandates it to maintain law and order, protect life and property, and prevent and detect crime. He explains that when officers carry out lawful duties, they act on behalf of the state and the people of Zambia. Therefore, any attack on a police officer in the execution of official duties is not only an attack on the officer, but also on the people of Zambia and the constitutional order of the country. Mr. Chilavi says the law provides safeguards to ensure that officers perform their responsibilities without interference. He notes that Articles 143(1)(f) of the Constitution places a duty on every citizen to cooperate with law enforcement officers in maintaining law and order.
The Zambia Police Service has noted with concern an incident that occurred on February 18, 2026 in Ndola, where a police officer was assaulted by a motorist while performing routine traffic management duties. The Zambia Police Service strongly condemns this unlawful act. Police officers derive their authority from the Constitution of the Republic of Zambia. Article 193.2 establishes the Zambia Police Service and mandates it to maintain law and order, protect life and property, and prevent and detect crime. When officers carry out lawful duties, they act on behalf of the state and the people of Zambia. Therefore, any attack on a police officer while performing official duties is not only an attack on the officer, but also an attack on the people of Zambia and the constitutional order of the country.
The Ministry of Tourism, through the Department of National Parks and Wildlife (DNPW), has informed members of the public that a breeding herd of more than 100 elephants, including calves, crossed into Zambia from Zimbabwe on Tuesday, 18th February 2026. Ministry of Tourism Principal Public Relations Officer Nelly Banda says the herd was reported in the area behind the crocodile farm at around 20 hours. Ms. Banda explains that DNPW officers were immediately deployed to the area and successfully guided the elephants away from human settlements to ensure public safety. She says following the earlier than expected arrival of the animals, the ministry has intensified community sensitization efforts. Officers working in collaboration with Njovu Wildlife Conservation have been deployed to surrounding communities to educate residents on how to safely coexist with wildlife. Residents have since been advised to avoid unnecessary movement at night, especially in high risk areas, refrain from harassing or provoking the animals, and promptly report any elephant sightings to DNPW officers. A civil society organization, Community Action Against Corruption, has described as strange and as rather strange and unusual the decision by the Anti-Corruption Commission to suspend and spend over 2 years investigating cases that have since resulted in the clearance of top government officials. Organization Chief Executive Officer Brighton Tembo says the clearance of the officials suggests that the investigations may have been based on cases with no substance. Mr. Tembo says the development has raised concerns and prompted questions from members of the public regarding the professional conduct of the Commission. He says when analyzing the current conduct of the Anti Corruption Commission, it becomes easier to understand why late Republican President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa established the Task Force on Corruption to reinforce the fight against corruption. Mr. Tembo says the organization believes that President Mwanawasa recognized weaknesses within the Anti Corruption Commission and understood that the institution could at times become a stumbling block to genuine anti corruption efforts.
You know, it is very strange and very unusual for a professional institution like the Anti-Corruption Commission to pursue investigations for over 2 years without realizing that the cases which they were pursuing were empty and had no substance, and they were going to result into clearance. Because a professional institution with the professional investigators can just look at a case, pursue it for 3 months or 4 months, and quickly realize that this case has no substance and abandon that case without wasting time and resources. But we are surprised that the Anti-Corruption Commission conducted investigations for over 2 years just to result into clearance. You know, this is very strange. And if you analyze this kind of behavior by the Anti-Corruption Commission.
And in other news trending this afternoon, the media network on child rights and development says it expects President Hakainde Hichilema to emphasize the importance of instilling moral values in children when he addressed the National Assembly of Zambia. The Zambia Federation of Disability Organizations has called for increased inclusion of persons with disabilities in national development programs. Up next, the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
The Paralegal Alliance Network says it plans to train more lawyers and magistrates this year on key international paralegal issues. PAN chairperson Eugene Kabilika says the initiative is aimed at strengthening the justice system and improving the handling of cases that involve cross-border and international legal standards. Mr. Kabilika notes that enhancing knowledge among legal practitioners will help promote access to justice and ensure that paralegal services align with global best practices. He adds that the network currently has over 1,000 registered paralegals across the country and is considering expanding its membership to reach more communities. The Paralegal Alliance Network says it remains committed to building capacity within the legal sector and improving legal support services nationwide.
Let me say, starting from towards the end of last year, we were involved in internal processes in terms of our new strategic plan, our new focus on funding, and also getting all documentation in place. So we had been very much on the internal side. But the outstanding program is the training of magistrates and some lawyers on key legal issues that are necessary internationally, which the Paralegal Alliance Network Secretariat is working with one of our international partners.
Ends the business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
And in foreign news rather, a Tunisian court has sentenced a lawmaker to 8 months in prison over social media posts mocking President Kais Saied following recently deadly floods. Ahmed Saidani was arrested earlier this month after he posted on social media about Said's visits to flood hit areas, calling him the Supreme Commander of Sanitation and Rainwater Drainage. He was jailed on Thursday on charges of insulting others via communication networks, a judicial official said. Saidani's lawyer, Hossein Udin Benatia, told the AFP news agency that his client was being prosecuted under a telecommunications law against harming others via social media, an offense punishable by up to 2 years in prison. And in sports news, the National Olympic Committee of Zambia has intensified its preparations for 2026 through a series of strategic planning meetings involving key commissions tasked with shaping the organization's direction for the year. The Safe Sport Technical Marketing and Finance Commissions recently met to define targeted action points to advance sports development and enhance support for Team Zambia. The Technical Commission prioritized expanding athlete participation in major competitions, stressing the importance of early planning and closer collaboration with national federations. Stand by for the weather report.
Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy. Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Southern, Copperbelt, Luapula, Northwestern, Western, Northern, Central, Lusaka, Eastern, and Muchinga provinces. Cloudy, slightly windy, and warm with rain and thunderstorms, and maximum temperature is ranging between 24 degrees Celsius and 31 degrees Celsius. The evening will mainly be cloudy, slightly windy, and warm to mild with isolated rain and occasional thunder. Ends our weather report, and that item brings us to the end of the news. But before we go, a recap of the stories that made